Teofimo Lopez says that the WBC played Devin Haney, and we're going to talk about that on this side, the real side. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. Now, I got to talk about this because I seen a video where Teofimo was almost bragging about the confusion with the WBC. He was showing in the link in the description in case you want to watch the interview so you know what I'm talking about. But there's an interview and he just got his belts in the mail, so he was happy. He got a regular WBC belt and a franchise champion belt. And I guess they sent a certification or the certificate of authenticity. And in that, he kept calling Devin Haney the email champion, and he says, I'm just loosely quoting it. You guys can, again, click the link in the description if you want to hear the verbatim what he said. But basically, to paraphrase, he said, Devin Haney, you got played. So basically, the WBC played you. I'm undisputed, and I got the belts. These certifications or the certificates of authenticity prove that I'm the champion, yada, yada, yada. Now, weird flex to me for Teofimo Lopez to almost be reveling in the fact that the WBC has made a move and he's in the crosshairs of it, and this move has left fans confused. Like, you got to understand, in your effort to taunt Devin Haney and, you know, poke fun at him, you're also not taking into consideration that it's not even just Devin Haney. Devin Haney's a millionaire. He hasn't really complained. The fans are the ones who are left confused and uncertain of it. He knows he's a champion, and you're a champion too. You know what I mean? So I don't really get this energy from Teofimo. And to be honest, I like at the beginning of it, I've seen a shift in Teofimo, and I kind of want to talk about that. This is the shift that I've seen. When he was about to fight Lomachenko, he was talking about almost a franchise champion situation, and he kind of stayed out of it. Like, he knew it was confusing, and if you listen to his old interviews right before he's about to fight Lomachenko, he was acting like he's like, oh, that's their business. They made him the franchise champion, you know. I think he even did some interviews. He did an interview with DAZN, I think Akim Barak maybe, and he even said like, oh yeah, it is kind of confusing and things like that. But now he's kind of come out of his shell, and he seems and appears to be bragging about the fact that he has the belt in ha ha, nan, and a boo boo. And I feel like that's a weird flex, because at the end of the day, you can taunt Devin Haney. He's making money. He has a belt. And if anybody is confused by this situation, it's really the fans. The fans are the ones being let down, because there is a situation in boxing where there's too many belts, alphabet belts. So to see Teofimo almost revel in this fact, it's just, to me, it's beyond me. I don't understand how that would be the move. The bottom line is the WBC has created a lot of confusion. There's a lot of people who have questions, and there's an easy way to solve this if you fight Devin Haney. But instead of actually forcing that fight and pushing your promoters to work again with Eddie Hearn and make that a reality, Teofimo seems more content with the nan and boo boo. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. He's happy that he has the belt, and he's not really worried about people who don't understand the belt situation. And he's just kind of almost big-headed since the Lomachenko fight. So I just feel it's a weird flex, me personally. I feel like it's a weird flex, because you have Devin Haney, who at times you've acknowledged that this whole franchise situation is confusing, and you're not really going to fight him next. You've also said you're not going to fight Lomachenko next because that chapter is done, and Lomachenko's saying he wants to fight you next. So I just don't understand what Teofimo's true aim is. Like, I don't understand. Like, of course you beat Lomachenko, and you're happy about that. But it feels like it would be better if Teofimo was just, instead of in this regard being braggadocious, like he's bragging on politics. I guess that's the way to put it. He's bragging off of politics. Like if you were bragging about beating a fighter or something like that, or something in sparring, that's one thing. But he's bragging because the politics of boxing, which we know has always kind of been there. There's always been these little politics and people who get put in positions and too many belts in boxing. He's bragging about that, and just because he's on the receiving side of it where it's benefiting him. And I don't really understand that angle. But again, not everything's for everybody to understand. So to each his own. Teofimo can do whatever he wants. But to me, he's probably losing some people based off of the way he's been acting. He says he's the A side over Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis, the Texas commission numbers came out, and he did 1.4 million in a pandemic in Texas with the live gate. Teofimo, his biggest fight of his career was with Lomachenko, and his company put him in with no opportunity to get a live gate because they fought in an area like Nevada, Vegas, where that couldn't be facilitated based on the rules and regulations of the Rona. And somehow, some way, boxing is just getting tricky because different people. Ryan Garcia feels he's the A side over Tank, right? Feels he's entitled to a Pacquiao fight, but his numbers came back. He did 350,000. Tank is selling out venues in different markets: LA, Atlanta, at home in Baltimore. And, you know, he's doing good crowds, and he just generated 1.4. So it's clear to me that Gervonta Davis is definitely the A side, despite, you know, Teofimo, his claim to the A side is because he has the most belts. But you got that in one fell swoop by beating Lomachenko. And at the end of the day, we know the A side is not actually, you don't arrive at the A side based solely on having belts. It's never been just about belts. That could be something that you're factoring in, but when you're selling no seats and tickets, and then you have someone else that is, it's kind of hard to make that A side claim, because we know A side more or less is kind of a popularity contest and those personal milestones and accolades in terms of really kind of the business. What do you do? How much do you generate? How much revenue do you contribute to boxing and your viewership, things like that. So just Teofimo, I understand he's young, he's happy he beat Lomachenko, but he's just kind of in no man's land. Now he's supposed to be fighting Camboso, and they're saying that they want too much money, and he's just been going kind of crazy, saying he's getting no less than 5 million, once 10 million for Devin. Then he's like showcasing and bragging, and he's making himself almost a villain, but not in the right way. Like Floyd was a villain, but there was really no reason for people to truly hate him overall. But the stuff that Teofimo is doing, he's definitely, I've seen in the comment section and stuff, he's definitely turning people off. Like, you could easily just fight Devin Haney and end all the confusion, but it seems Teofimo would rather just make taunting videos and rub it in and Instagram lives and stuff, saying that Devin Haney is an email champ. But we're kind of off that. The whole email champion was, that to me, that's lame, because at the end of the day, it's politics. Like, you're really bragging over politics. That's like Avni Yildirim bragging because he's fighting Canelo instead of David Benavidez. That's all because of politics. That's all because of politics. You know, that's not something, like, some things in this life, and maybe some younger people won't see this until they get a little bit older, but some things aren't, you don't get clout. You don't get clout tokens. You don't get P's for certain things. Like, if I go to a supermarket and steal an old lady's cart, like the last cart, and, you know, I take the last cart and she needs it, you know, or I take the electric scooter and I can really walk and she can't walk, and I take it because I want to be lazy. You don't get props for stuff like that. Like, that's not something admirable. That's not something to brag about. Like, yeah, there was one electric scooter and this old lady needed it, but I took it. Ha ha ha. Like, that's not something worth bragging about. And that's kind of what I feel like with Teofimo. He's bragging that there's confusion as to who's the best. That's not really the era of boxing that I grew up loving. You know, you're happy that the WBC has created an extra belt, and there's 3 WBC champions. Ryan Garcia, Tank has a belt. Well, actually, for the WBC, it's Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Teofimo. Y'all all have belts, and you're saying that the WBC played you, but they really played all of y'all because they're getting sanctioning fees, most likely up out of all of y'all, and they're getting the notoriety of having the green strap and the belt showcased in all y'all fights, and y'all don't even know who the real champion is because y'all haven't really fought. Again, it's all politics. You could say I'm undisputed, but nobody really believes it outside of old media. Who believes that he's undisputed when Lomachenko didn't fight Devin and he didn't fight Devin Haney? So, I mean, like I said, to each his own. You can run around bragging about I'm undisputed, but in boxing, it's never just been about belts. The man made the belts. The man made the belts. The belts didn't make the man. You know what I mean? So until all these young fighters kind of duel it out and reach those new personal bests and achievements, we don't really know who's the best. You had the politics aligned, Top Rank put Lomachenko in a position to get multiple belts, and then you fought him and beat him. Boom. But you know, there's only a handful of people that are gonna buy into this whole undisputed. We know that there's a great fighter in Devin Haney who's undefeated, and until you fight him, ultimately it's gonna be that big question mark. You know, who's really what? Like, I know personally as a competitor, I wouldn't want, you know how they have in like movies, old movies, where they say this town ain't big enough for the both of us. You see the old westerns and stuff where they go out back and then they would have the gunfight in the showdown, take 50 paces, then spin, and whoever draws first is you know, this town ain't big enough for the both of us. You reign supreme as a gunslinger when you blast the other person, the quick and the dead. You know what I'm saying? So that same mentality in boxing. There's you and there's Devin Haney, and there's a way to resolve who's really undisputed, but you rather mock him and things like that as opposed to push for that fight, which is a far better fight than George Kambosos. Even the great Mike Tyson, who had Ryan Garcia, Teofimo, and Devin Haney all on the show. Mike Tyson, hi, I'm Mike Tyson. He said Teofimo, he said he shouldn't fight George Kambosos. He need to fight Devin. So, you know, you've seen Teofimo recently. He was saying that Mike Tyson said I'm the best and stuff like that. So if you value Mike Tyson's opinion so much, then you have to also encompass what he just recently said, which is that don't fight George Kambosos. You should really be fighting Devin Haney. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop yours in the comment section. We working.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.